Greetings, 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 everyone, and welcome to another edition of Create Yourself Imagery, Intimacy, Innovation, a place where people from all walks of life and various backgrounds come together to share their transformative and professional stories of restoration, confidence, clarity, and empowerment. They are here to share their helpful tools, resources, and affirming guidance. I'm Joyce Kyles, your global speaker, author, trainer, and coach. And if you're ready to transition, transform, and thrive, this is the podcast for you. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If this is your 100th time tuning in, we are so glad to have you return to us. I love this podcast and being able to share with the listening audience each and every week. This week, I am so excited about my guest. She and I recently met, but when I tell you it is truly like a kindred spirit, I mean, literally, we have had so many great conversations and realized how much we have in common. I mean, when I say it's like looking in a mirror, I mean that literally and figuratively. I mean, all the way down to the glasses. Like we just have so much in common. It's been so wonderful to get to know her. So I am so pleased to be able to introduce you all to her and the amazing work that she does. So let me just give you a snippet on who she is. Cassandra Hill is a master life coach, best-selling author, and speaker. Her passion is empowering Black women to live life on their terms by leveling their emotional, spiritual, and mental well-being. She is passionate about spreading self-love as one of the solutions to eradicate the domestic violence epidemic among Black women. Uh, I could go on and on and on. You all can see her full bio underneath this broadcast, but just saying some of the things that she's done out loud and has been recognized, as the 2024 Black Woman Owned Brand of the Year by the I'm Loving Me Project. She is a 2022 influential African American woman in business by Smart Women Partner. She's collaborated with Goldman Sachs, Nashville Voyager, and Authority Magazine. Without further ado, let me introduce to some and present to others none other than transformation agent for Black women, Cassandra Hill. Cassandra, welcome to the show.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much for the invitation, Joyce. And I need to take you with me every time I need to be introduced. That was incredible.
Oh, thank you so very much. I'm always, and everybody knows, I'm always excited and honored. Um, I am truly honored when people take time to come to the show and to share and to give of themselves. I do not take it for granted. So I celebrate you and I thank you so much for showing up for us. So we just gonna jump right on in. I shared a little bit about who you are, but I would love for you now to share with our listening audience in your own words. Who is Cassandra Hill and how did you get started on this create yourself journey?
Wow. At the core of my heart, Cassandra is a woman of faith. I am a person that, regardless of the work that I'm doing, is centered on empowering those who are disenfranchised in some shape, form, or fashion. In another lifetime, I worked as a gerontologist. And some may be thinking, what is a gerontologist exactly? I used to get asked that quite a bit. And that's basically a person that specializes in the study of aging. So I spent just over a decade empowering seniors to have the best quality of life for as long as possible, and from that into doing the work that God put me into in empowering women, but especially Black women, to have. Initially, when I first became an entrepreneur, I worked more as a wellness coach and holistic health practitioner and focused more on our physical health. And now God has blessed me to be a master life coach and being certified in women's entrepreneurship. So focusing more on that emotional and mental aspects of our well-being. And if you don't hear anything else in this interview, I want the listeners to know that this assignment that I'm in started from dis-ease in a state where I really thought my health would cost me my life. And just not being in a good place, not getting the answers I wanted from traditional healthcare sent me to delve into doing my own research, studying alternative medicine, and being fortunate to develop a regimen that put me in remission from lupus. And I'm fortunate I've been in remission for 9 years now. So please do not think wherever you are right now, wherever you are right now today, it does not have to stay that way. Things can change, and you just have to have faith in God and be willing to do the work.
Well, I want to first say that it is a wonderful thing. It's a blessing that you have been in remission so long. So I'm glad that you shared that. I appreciate that so much, and continue to lift you up in your health, that you will remain that way. I love that you touched on, what it means to self advocate. I talk about that a lot in my speaking, my coaching, just training, just all the things. I think that it is so important for us to self advocate and not just take what we hear from, doctors at face value and just say, just go all in with that. We've all been blessed with different skills, gifts, and talents. So I believe that doctors know what they're doing, what they're talking about, what they share, what they say. I also, though, believe that we have the opportunity to self-discover and self-advocate and read and research. And if an answer doesn't feel right to us, to not just give in because, well, that's what the doctor said. We are fighters. We as women, we we are fighters. We gonna ask the questions, or we should be asking the questions, and it is okay. It does not make you an angry Black woman to ask and self-advocate and want to know why. So I'm so
Yeah.
appreciative of you sharing that. And the study of aging, I love that as well.
And you know what, Joyce? It's so interesting that we get that label, the angry Black woman. And guess what? I should be angry. I should be angry when we think about the injustices that are plaguing Black women right now.
Mhm.
Right now in this country, over 300,000 Black women have been kicked out of the workforce. Um, and in doing the wonderful introduction you did, you mentioned the epidemic that's plaguing Black women around domestic violence. We should be angry that nearly 45% of Black women experience domestic violence from their intimate partners. Why we're not having more conversations around that? And that's according to what's reported. That hotline, how many women get abused and never call? Never call.
Right.
So
That's
that
right.
number is actually higher. But do we see any commercials, infomercials around that? That's an epidemic.
Absolutely, it is. It absolutely
So,
is.
yes, I'm angry. I'm angry because if I think of any other condition here in the US that affected any other segment of the population at 45%, every news outlet would be talking about it. It would be plastered everywhere, some type of preventive measure, solutions. So I think sometimes we get labeled that and we're not even that, but we should be.
Yeah, yeah, and not enough attention in conversation and asking the right questions as to why I may be. angry or sad or depressed, why I'm not as strong as you expect me to be. And that it's okay to not be okay. I need a safe space though to be able to address that and talk about it and not do it with feeling that there are certain judgments and certain labels that are attached to it. And I think that this is a good time then to segment into more about like who you are and what you do in terms of your coaching, the nonprofit work that you do, the ways that you show up for women, with that emphasis, of course, on Black women. But I can say just from what I have learned of you, you do have a heart for all women. I appreciate you as a Black woman. Me being a Black woman as well, that there is this desire to make sure that all women succeed, but that you see us as Black women because so often we are ignored. So I do want you to just share with our audience a bit about, what you do with your coaching, the nonprofit space, just all the ways that you are showing up right
Yeah, I am so thankful. Right now, I serve as board president of a nonprofit called 1M4. 1M4 stands for 1 million madly motivated moms. We have a mission and vision to eradicate police violence by the year 2038. We are a Black-led organization. Shout out to the founder and executive director, Tansy McNulty. Um, we're and we have an amazing team. But we're boots on the ground, ensuring that people who have been incarcerated that are innocent are freed. We've been successful in getting people out who have been innocent. We do support families who have experienced police violence. Um, you can only imagine how that impacts parents, and not just parents, but other loved ones as well. But especially as a parent, um, if your child has had a experience or encounter with the law enforcement that was in just, we support those families, whether it's through financial, whether it's helping secure legal services, making sure that they're good emotionally, mentally, those sorts of things. We do have a directory called the Right Response Directory. What that does, it's a free guide, so please feel free to go to my Linktree Hill or Cassandra, and you will see a link there for 1 and 4. But that right response directory, if you find yourself having a mental health crisis, that directory can be life changing because it's an alternative to calling 911. I like to think of it is if I'm having a heart attack, if I'm having a heart attack, I'm not going to call a personal chef, right? Because they're not trained to deal with me having a heart attack. But if I need
now.
an event catered, I'm calling that chef, right?
Right,
But
absolutely.
if I'm having a mental health crisis, I need a mental health professional,
Hmm.
someone who's trained to handle that. And the Right Response Directory lists mobile mental health crises unit across the United States. So you're getting that right response versus, and we're not bashing law enforcement, but we're just saying that they're not trained to handle a mental health emergency. So please take the time, get the right response, and share with a loved one because you could potentially save a life. So glad to be board president and really excited about the future of the organization. Um, in other work that I'm doing, as you mentioned, Joyce, I am a master life coach, also certified in women's entrepreneurship. So in the coaching space, and right now, I'm telling y'all in advance, right now, the only way you can work with Cassandra through my Substack community, for those who become annual members of that community, you can work with me. But outside of that, I'm not accepting coaching clients right now. Just focused on the other parts of me and being a speaker, writer, and so many other behind the scenes stuff that y'all will learn about later on. Um, but on the coaching side, um, empowering us to have the life we deserve on our terms, having less stress in our life, having healthy relationships personally, professionally. I've really been blessed to work with incredible women. Um, and what most people ask, what it's like to work with me. What makes me a little different than most life coaches out there, you come and I'm going to extract everything I need to one, determine if we're a fit, because if we're not a fit, I will refer you to someone who's a better fit for you. But once we determine we're a good fit for one another, I am going to push you to another level. It is going to be out your comfort zone, but I can say there is a very high probability because every person that I've worked with has love the experience. So whatever your goal is, one person comes to mind. Um, she was able to secure. She was an entrepreneur, wanted just that next level client, and was able to get Google. We worked on the wellness part of her, and this is why wellness is so important, the emotional and mental, because if you're not whole, mind, body, and soul, the opportunities that God is working, it's sitting back in the bag, but it's not gonna come to your table until you're ready. And so once we got to the place where she was good physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then yeah, we can work on the business component, on the strategies to get you wherever that desire. For her, it was Google. For you, it may be, I don't know. It may be leveling up as a speaker. It may be,
But whatever it is,
yeah,
if the
or
mindset
yeah,
is
yeah,
intact, then you are clear and feel freer to
yeah.
grow into whatever the next is, that next goal is. But you can't fully appreciate it if your mind is jumbled with so many other things. It's cluttered with so many other things. It's hard to focus.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna do everything in my power to get you there. But yeah, you're gonna have to work. I'm not one of those life coaches that's gonna sell you a dream for, oh, you're gonna get to this in 5 days. No, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work. If you want results, you're gonna have to be willing to put in the work. But I promise you, I'm gonna work just as hard, if not harder than you. Um,
I
so,
love that. I love that. And I really appreciate you sharing the fact that if you meet with someone and you all have an opportunity to talk and you recognize that the two of you may not be a good fit, that number one, you don't keep them as a client. And number two, you will do your best to refer them elsewhere. I think that that's very important because it speaks to your integrity and that you're not just chasing the dollar, that and that you're not promising, outcomes that may or may not happen. And you and I both know that there are people out here who their sole purpose is to see how many clients I can get and how much money can I make. And being ethical sometimes doesn't always show up,
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you shared those pieces of what you do and how you're doing it, and the work that you're doing with 1 in 4. That is commendable. I am hopeful that everyone who is listening will actually go to your link tree. And of course, all your information of how to connect with you is below this broadcast. So you're easy to access. But I also want to lift up the fact of you saying, you're taking coaching clients, but you have a strategic way that you're doing it right now. So if you're in need of those services, listeners, I'm telling you the best way is to go ahead and connect with our Substack, get get involved and get engaged while she still has space, because I can tell you her capacity, is starting to shrink because she is in so many other hats and spaces and places. And so that's another area that I want to lift up before our broadcast ends. And that's for you to talk about your book tour. I would love for you to share with the audience about the book tour, what it consists of, the idea behind doing it, because I know there was someone other than me who has been thinking of doing this and want, should I, can I? Yes, you should. Yes, you can. So, Cassandra, tell us all about it.
Yeah, the Love Letters to My Girls. It is a book myself and 115 other Black women came together to write this book. It's about loving yourself and knowing your worth as a Black woman. And currently, what I'm doing, I'm gifting copies of this book to young ladies at HBCUs primarily. We are doing some other colleges outside of HBCUs, but the goal is to, in order to eradicate this domestic violence epidemic we're facing, there needs to be a self-love revolution among Black women. And so, targeting young Black ladies, we're working on, hey, know who you are. And we're going right now to colleges. We're focused in the states of Arkansas as well as Alabama. But eventually, this will be a nationwide initiative. You may be thinking, Cassandra, why you pick those two states? One, I was born and raised here in Arkansas. Two, Arkansas, many don't realize Arkansas is one of the top states in the US for domestic violence. We have really high rates of domestic violence here in Arkansas. Alabama, similar as well, very high rates of domestic violence in Alabama as well. Women who do experience domestic violence there is a 72% unmet shelter need. Basically, what that means, if you are in a relationship that is toxic and unhealthy and wanted to go to a shelter, there is a very good chance that the shelter would not be able to accept a woman there. And so when you think of a number that high, unmet shelter need, we definitely want to focus in on those states where the prevention is so needed.
Yeah, and as someone, as I said at the very beginning of this, you and I share so much in common. And again, it's like literally looking in the mirror and seeing yourself, knowing and recognizing that, domestic violence, there's truly an epidemic around it. And having lived in Arkansas myself, and then just doing this work in advocacy as I've done for years now, I can certainly attest and be able to, amen to you about the need that Arkansas and Alabama, because we've moved closer now. So just really studying the statistics in this area more. I'm currently in Georgia, but Arkansas has stayed, Tennessee is another, where the numbers are just so
Yeah.
incredibly high. But that 72% of unmet shelter need, that is huge. We talk about um, homelessness just across the board. We've
Mhm.
had those conversations with other guests, and then just in the advocacy work that I do. And a lot of times we don't realize that the homelessness comes from
Mhm.
individuals who've gone through domestic abuse and they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
myriad of reasons for why,
Yeah. Because,
homelessness
yeah.
exists.
Yeah. Yeah. What options do you have? I look even here
Mhm.
in Arkansas, recently with the federal cutbacks, state cutbacks, the number of shelters who didn't get the funding they needed. Just here in the last quarter, we have had five shelters in the state of Arkansas to close their doors.
Mm, mm. And that is so disheartening. And when you think about it from the perspective of domestic abuse, not having enough shelter space for individuals to go to. And so often those who are experiencing domestic abuse, they have children, they
Yeah.
have families. It's not just a single woman or single man, because I do want to lift up the men who have been abused as well. But we don't have the capacity, the physical capacity to shelter individuals. So I love what you're doing, the focus that you have with centering our young women. HBCUs would welcome you, would love to have you. I truly believe, and I'm hopeful that those that are in Arkansas, in Alabama, and this becoming a nationwide initiative, that every HBCU will reach out to you and say, yes, we need this. We need those love letters to our young ladies. We need them to know, see, understand, and appreciate the self-love, and that they are loved, and there are a community of women who will love on them and support them, so, which is a lot of what you provide. So I'm just pleased that, of this all around.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you, Joyce. Um, as Joyce mentioned earlier, we met each other and it just seems like we've been knowing each other forever. Um, I just love what she's doing right now, in the world, and she's really a inspiration. So, for those who not familiar with her, you better hurry up. You better hurry up and figure out how you can partner with her, whether it's having her as a speaker, a consultant, because she's doing some really great stuff and will be booked up very soon.
Oh, you know what? Thank you so very much. Now, when we finish the broadcast, I'm gonna cash app you. So thank you. No, but seriously, no, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is truly my goal. We don't want to just stay booked and busy, but I always say booked, busy, and blessed.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
that is certainly the goal. I love hosting this podcast each week. I love the opportunity to meet people and hear their stories and have them share what it means to transition, transform, and thrive. And everyone has been different and unique and fun and engaging and talking about real issues, serious issues. And yet, in that, though, we find restoration, we find resiliency, we find clarity and confidence and empowerment and collaborations and connections. And so, yeah, I feel like you and I have known each other for a long time. I look forward
Yeah.
to seeing what 2026 looks like for us together, as well as our individual projects and programs that we're working on. But I do thank you for lifting me up. I do what I do because I love it and I enjoy it. And I think anyone who is listening now to me as I continue on with this journey of podcasting, that I hope what you get from me and all of the guests that come on, that you can be successful, you can have the life that you desire and deserve, you can have it at any age. I always sign off that way. So thank you for lifting me up because I appreciate it. You know, you want to hear that the work that you're doing is mattering to people. So thank you. And I guess my last question in to you as we do wrap up for this session, because you're going to come back next week, not next week, next next quarter, we're going to make sure that you get back on. So ladies and gentlemen, just know a part two is coming. And look, we hadn't even talked about it, but I already know.
I'm here for it. I am
Okay.
here for it.
All right, so we're going to make sure that you come back. My last question to you is if there are any words of encouragement, any information, tools, resources outside of the myriad of things that you have already offered, is there anything else that you would want as a main point for our listening audience to take away as we conclude our Create Yourself journey today?
Yeah. I just want you to focus on heal. And for me, heal is healthy, extravagant, adoption, love. And so when we focus on our healing, that is where the real transformation takes place. And a lot of times when we think about healthy, we think about nutrition, right? Our diet, what we're eating, but it's so much more than that. Healthy is what I put into my body mentally as well as physically. And so paying attention to that, extravagant, being over the top with it, being over the top with it. And in adoption, it's not just a New Year's resolution, it's a lifestyle and love. Because when you're doing this and you're operating in self love, real transformation will take place. And if you need support in that and living out that heal, know that I'm here. Um, I'm not just saying this as a rush or anything, but there are limited spots. Once I get to a certain number, there are annual people in the Substack community. I will no longer accept because I want what's best for you. And I know for me to operate in excellence, I can only take on so many people. So if you need support in having a heal life, feel free, get on that link tree, become part of the Substack, and I would love to help you live the healed experience.
All right. That is going to conclude our podcast episode for today. I want to thank my very special guest, Cassandra Hill, for showing up and showing out for us today. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks so much for the invitation, Joyce. It's been a treat.
Likewise, ma'am. And thank you to our listening audience because without you, I could not host this podcast. So, as I always say, until next time, go forward and create the life that you desire and deserve. And remember, you can do so at any age. I'm Joyce Kyles, your global speaker, author, trainer, and coach. Let's continue to transition, transform, and thrive together.